I made a pretty big mistake doing my first fix and flip at 21 years old. And not just one, but two mistakes. And we're gonna talk about it. I haven't spoke about it on any of my platforms, so you guys are definitely gonna wanna take notes so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I have. But before we get started, my name is Stephanie Kabidi. I'm a real estate agent and investor out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Make sure you guys join me on for my real estate investing journey. I've been focusing a lot more on real estate investing, and I'll talk about why I'm not an agent so much anymore in another video, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But also go subscribe if you're not subscribed, turn that bell notification on so you guys never miss an upload. Hit that like button, and with that being said, let's get right into today's video. Alright, so it's so different because I never spoke about this before. But now I'm just coming clean about everything that happened, everything wrong that happened in my first fix and flip. So for you guys, if you haven't watched that video of like how I got my first fix and flip, go ahead and take a look at that video right here. But for you guys that don't know, I got my first fix and flip from a cold call. And I cold called the seller and she was like, yeah, the property has mold. I don't think, we could sell it. And crazy thing is, I didn't call as an investor at the time. I was calling to get listings as an agent. And I had my like investor alert like go off after she said, yeah, there's mold in the property. I'm like, okay, let's go take a look and see. So I scheduled that appointment and I brought like my listing materials, but I knew I was coming in as like an investor, like my investor hat was on too. So I went through the property, everything like that. Turns out it was a good deal. I called up another investor, told him about the property. I even had him come out to the property to see if this was a deal because I personally did not know if it could have been a good deal as a fix and flip since I never done a fix and flip before. So I told the seller, like, we could give you a cash offer with this, or this is what you would get on the market. She wanted to go with that cash offer, so that is what we did. And I decided to partner up with someone just so that, they could guide me through the steps of a fix and flip because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the connections of a private money lender or a hard money lender or a contractor that has a good team. So many different things that you would need in a fix and flip. I just didn't have that team, so it would make sense for me to partner up with someone and learn from them. Since I brought the deal, they brought the team. So it just made sense and we went in 50-50, right? And this is where it gets messy. So I had meetings with this person, I would say once, twice a week, breakfasts and stuff like that, kind of running through like what we should be looking for, how we should, get the materials and just, everything that is involved with the fix and flip. Now, the biggest mistake that I made through this whole process was not getting a JV agreement signed. So for those that don't know what a JV agreement is, that's just a joint venture. So it's just a partnership agreement basically saying who gets what. And in this case, it was 50-50 split profit when we go to sell this flip. And the other thing was, so the investor said we were going to get an LLC, which never happened, said we were going to, just have all this stuff, which never happened. So he bought the property in his name. And, that's kind of skeptical from the jump because, yeah, it's my fix and flip, but he bought it in his name. So it's like, really, he could have just left me to the dust and I would have had nothing. So that's another thing. But, I trusted him, and I want to say a couple of days after we closed on that property there to get it, to start working on it, he literally went out of seas. So he went across seas. And during that time, that's when like the Ukraine thing happened and just he couldn't come back home, And he's like, Stephanie, you got to do this all on your own, basically. And I'm over here just like stressing out on the phone. Like, I really got to do this on my own and I don't know anything of what I'm doing. So that was the tough part. But I was able to, thank God, because it was a lot of stress, but I was able to pull through and it wasn't like a super huge you know, fix and flip where we had to like do major repairs or anything like that. But it was still a lot of stress and stuff like that. But I was thankful that I was put in that position because it helped me and just built up my, you know, my confidence, built up my growth within, you know, doing fix and flips. So that was, you know, something that was tough within that fix and flip. But he couldn't come back home. I was up there managing everything, making sure everything was good, picking out colors, picking out paint, everything. If a contractor was like, hey, Stephanie, you need to be up here at like 7 a.m. I'm on the phones getting ready to drive up to the property at 7 a.m. So different stuff like that. But then it comes closer to time to list the property. And it turns out with our after repair value, the after repair value was pretty, you know, it was a good number. It was a good number. I want to say we got it locked up at like 137, but we put it on the market for 225. And we just saw that with this property compared to the other ones, the way it turned out, we could have probably gotten more, right? So he called me from overseas out in Ukraine and was saying, hey, I'm gonna need more money than like from the profits to since I have no money, I haven't been working since I'm, you know, overseas. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like we can do that. Like, I know like you're struggling, you haven't been working for the past couple of months, but I never said like the whole profit. And he thought I said the whole profit, and it was just the whole crazy thing. Cause at this time, you gotta think, like, there's no JV agreement signed. His name's on everything. His name's signed with the hard money lender. My name's on nothing. I'm just over here doing the flip by myself, but my name's not on nothing. So I have no, you know, nothing attached with me in the property there. So that's what made it also tough. And then just people knew, like people around me knew, a lot of investors around me knew, like we were partners on this fix and flip. So I had that, but nothing in writing, which you never want to do. So then we started going back and forth because he thought I said all the profit. And I'm like, no, like who in their right mind would say you can have all the profit? Like, he's like, I'm going to pay you back over the next couple of flips, blah, blah, blah. Because during this time, I had the property listed on the market, 225. We had so many showings, like it was crazy, so many showings, and we ended up getting a cash offer for 250. So that's a big jump. And our $30,000 profit, you know, came to like $60,000 to $61,000 profit. So you can see where like that little gap to that big gap, and like money changes people. So you just gotta be careful, like with everything whenever it involves money. And, you know, he kept being on the phones and we were going back and forth like, hey, you can't like do this. And we're trying to negotiate literally over the profit that we agreed on from the jump, 50-50. And it was just so tough. And I was almost having to get like a lawyer involved, an attorney, just in case like he wouldn't want to pay me, because people knew what like we agreed on, that 50-50 number. So that's what made it tough. And then we initially agreed on like I should get my at least $8,000 up front, and then as well as my commission, and then we would do $2,000 per month until, you know, I get the full amount of my profit. So that was a big mistake like I made, just not getting that JV agreement signed. And boy, like it's crazy because I look back on it and it fires me up, like in a good way though, I would say, because like I learned, and I know I'm not going to do that ever again. But if I wouldn't have went through that, like it probably would have happened sometime down the road, you know? So even though you partner up with someone and it may look good and you trust that person 100%, always get a JV agreement signed, always get, you know, things in writing showing that you guys are 50-50 or 70-30 or 40-60, whatever that, what you guys agree on, make sure you guys get it in writing. And that wasn't the only thing that I made a mistake on. And yes, I still am getting my payment, stuff like that, so that's good. But the other thing that I made my mistake on was we got it furnished. So it was like a light staging, and we're over here, like, closing happens. We're like, all right, you know, that's good. Everything's fine. And then turns out we forgot to call the staging company. I forgot to call the staging company to let them know that, you know, closing has been completed. And when the buyers and the buyer agents went through the final walkthrough, they said, like, the furniture wasn't there. So I'm over here thinking that, like, it was stolen or something. And it turns out the buyers were trying to hide it. And it was just something, because we were about to call the police because we thought, like, it was stolen. But just make sure if you do get staging that you call up the stager to make sure they get the, you know, all their stuff out of there before closing. So those were the 2 mistakes I made. Hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes I do. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Go subscribe if you're not subscribed. Always get a JV agreement signed and call that stager before closing happens so they can get their stuff out of there. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. If you guys want to see any other videos, just comment that down below as well. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.